The galaxy had already decided to die. Fleets were broken. Worlds were burning. Hope was a forgotten word. And then, from the edge of forbidden space, something answered a call that was never meant to be heard: humanity. The Council Bastion drifted above the dead star like a wounded animal refusing to stop breathing. Once, it had been the heart of galactic civilization. Now, it was a shelter for refugees, soldiers, and leaders who all knew the truth but refused to say it aloud. Supreme Coordinator Vilrix Thuan stood at the center of the command chamber, his 6 mechanical limbs locked in place. His species, the Thuan Collective, had replaced emotion with logic centuries ago. But even he could not silence the rising error signals inside his neural core. The war was lost. Holograms filled the chamber, each one showing a system that had gone dark. Thousands of stars had vanished from the network. Not destroyed, consumed. The enemy did not conquer. It erased. The Null Devourers had arrived without warning 3 standard cycles ago. No ships had detected them. No signals preceded them. They came like a thought that ended reality. Entire civilizations disappeared in hours. Weapons failed. Energy beams passed through their hulls like mist. Missiles detonated uselessly. Even gravity weapons bent around them as if the universe itself refused to fight back. "They are 30 hours from the inner ring," reported Commander Iressa Val, her voice steady but strained. Her species, the Lirati, were known for emotional control. Still, her tail flicked behind her, a sign of fear she could not hide. Vilrix did not turn. "Casualty projections." "Total collapse," she answered. "All core systems fall within 4 rotations." Silence followed. Around them stood representatives of the last surviving powers. Beings of light dimmed to embers. Stone-skinned warriors slumped in defeat. Once proud fleets reduced to names on memorial lists. A young archivist stepped forward hesitantly. His kind had no military power, only memory. "Coordinator, there may be something we overlooked." Vilrix rotated one eye toward him. "Speak." The archivist activated a forgotten data stream. Symbols appeared, old, unstable, marked with warnings so ancient most translators had stopped recognizing them. "These records were sealed," the archivist said. "Classified before the formation of the modern council." "Why were they sealed?" Commander Iressa asked. The archivist swallowed. "Because the council was afraid." The file resolved into a single word: humanity. Several delegates recoiled instantly. "That species," hissed a crystalline warlord. "They were banned." "They were labeled unstable," said another. "Violent. Reckless." Vilrix studied the data silently. "Continue." The archivist obeyed. Humans originated from a planet designated Sol 3, a world with unstable tectonics, extreme climate cycles, constant predatory life, and radiation levels deemed unsuitable for intelligent survival. Yet humans evolved there anyway. "They should not exist," the archivist said. "Their homeworld kills most life forms in minutes." And yet, they adapted. Images followed. Humans walking through frozen wastelands. Humans enduring deserts hotter than reactor cores. Humans diving into crushing oceans. Humans laughing. "They did not flee danger," the archivist continued. "They studied it. Mastered it. Used it." Vilrix noticed something unsettling. Conflict records. Humans fought themselves for thousands of years, and survived every time. They developed weapons not for elegance, but certainty. If something needed to be destroyed, they made sure it stayed destroyed. "They were quarantined," Commander Iressa said quietly. "I remember now. The Council feared what would happen if humans met the wider galaxy." "Correction," Vilrix replied. "The Council feared what would happen if the galaxy threatened humans." Another alarm interrupted them. The Null Devourers had consumed another system. There were no defenses left to try. No fleets to rally. No miracles remaining. Vilrix made a decision that defied every protocol ever written. "Open a channel," he ordered. "To where?" Iressa asked. Vilrix turned fully now, his artificial eyes glowing. To the forbidden zone. The chamber erupted in shock. That quarantine still exists, someone shouted. Or it doesn't, Veelrix replied. Either way, we are already dead. A probe was launched, old, simple, stripped of weapons. It carried no threats. Only truth. The message was brief. The galaxy is ending. We failed. If you still exist, we ask for help. The probe vanished into dark space. Hours passed. Then, something intercepted it. Sensors screamed. The object that appeared did not resemble any known ship. It was asymmetrical, scarred, and surrounded by controlled plasma. It flew directly through stellar radiation that would vaporize standard fleets. A response came back. 3 lines only. Message received. Quarantine detected. Explain why we shouldn't let you burn. No fear. No confusion. Only a question. Veelrix felt something unfamiliar ripple through his logic cores. Hope. Or perhaps terror. Because if humanity answered the call, the galaxy would not be saved gently. It would be saved their way. And the universe was about to remember why humans were never meant to be forgotten. The response from human space echoed through the Council Bastion like a distant thunderclap. Explain why we shouldn't let you burn. Supreme Coordinator Veelrix replayed the message 3 times. Not to analyze it, but to understand the mindset behind it. No panic. No arrogance. Just a cold demand for meaning. They are not surprised we are dying, Commander Iressa said quietly. No, Veelrix replied. They expected it. A second transmission followed before anyone could respond. Visual data unfolded across the chamber. Human space. What appeared shocked even the oldest minds present. There were no neat borders. No clean orbital lanes. Human territory looked chaotic. Dense webs of stations wrapped around stars. Massive structures clung to asteroids. Entire shipyards floated inside radiation belts. They built inside hazards, whispered a light-being delegate. Why? Because danger did not scare them. It attracted them. The feed shifted. Human cities appeared on worlds the Council had classified as permanently uninhabitable. Superstorms raged overhead while lights burned bright below. Lava flowed through controlled channels, powering infrastructure. Storm clouds crackled with lightning that fed massive energy collectors. These worlds were death traps, Iressa said. They still are, Veelrix replied. Humans simply decided not to die. Another image appeared. Human warships. They were not elegant. Not symmetrical. Armor plates overlapped like scars layered on scars. Weapon mounts looked excessive, redundant, almost wasteful. They design for failure, the archivist murmured. If one system breaks, 5 more take over. The feed paused. A figure appeared on screen. Human. Tall. Scarred. One eye replaced with metal. No ceremonial uniform. Just reinforced clothing and visible weapons. My name is Admiral Jonah Creel, the human said. His voice was calm, almost tired. You contacted restricted space. You admit your civilization is collapsing. And you want help. He leaned closer to the camera. Before we decide anything, you need to understand something. The chamber listened as if breathing itself had paused. We were locked behind that quarantine for a century and a half, Creel continued. No allies. No trade. No warnings. Just silence. The image changed. Human colonies burning. Defensive platforms torn apart by unknown forces long ago. During that time, we assumed the galaxy had abandoned us, Creel said. So we adapted. We stopped planning for peace. His metal eye glowed faintly. We planned for extinction. The words sent ripples of unease through every delegate present. Veelrix finally spoke. The enemy destroying us is called the Null Devourers. They consume energy, matter, and information. They erase existence. Creel nodded once. We've been watching them. That alone caused panic. You knew. Iressa demanded. We noticed stars going missing, Creel replied. Then signals stopped. Then patterns emerged. He folded his arms. We didn't intervene because we assumed it was another galactic mess we'd be blamed for later. Veelrix lowered his head slightly, a gesture of humility unheard of for his kind. The quarantine was a mistake. Yes, Creel said flatly. It was. Silence followed. Then Creel continued. But the enemy you're facing isn't just killing you. It's expanding into regions that threaten us. The camera zoomed out. A strategic map appeared. Human space lay directly in the projected path of the Devourers. So this isn't mercy, Creel said. It's self-preservation. Veelrix accepted that truth instantly. Then help us stop them. Creel stared into the camera for a long moment. No, he said. Shock tore through the chamber. We won't help you stop them, Creel clarified. We'll help you survive what comes next. The feed cut. Moments later, alarms erupted across the bastion. Hundreds of unknown ships exited fold space around the station. Human vessels, more than the combined fleets of the remaining Council worlds. They didn't form traditional formations. They spread, encircled, controlled space itself. These ships are modifying local physics, the archivist said in disbelief. They're rewriting engagement rules, Iressa whispered. A new transmission came through, this time broadcast openly. Attention all remaining galactic forces, Creel's voice echoed. If you stay where you are, you die. If you follow our instructions exactly, you might live. Human ships began deploying massive structures, not weapons, but anchors. Reality stabilizers. Space bent around them. What are they doing? Veelrix asked. They're building a battlefield, the archivist replied. Before the enemy arrives. Human fleets didn't charge forward. They didn't rush to glory. They prepared. They seeded traps inside vacuum. They laced space with invisible kill zones. They positioned themselves not for defense, but control. The Null Devourers arrived hours later. Black shapes emerged from nothingness, consuming light as they moved. The Council fleets opened fire in panic. Human ships did not. They waited. As the Devourers advanced, space itself betrayed them. Entire enemy vessels shattered as gravity reversed. Energy was siphoned away. Reality folded in on itself. The Devourers adapted instantly. Human weapons changed instantly. Kinetic rounds followed energy strikes. Then came weapons with no recognizable signature at all. Human ships took damage. They did not retreat. They absorbed it. Then they advanced. Creel's final message echoed across all channels. This is why you feared us, he said. We don't ask if something can be done. Human fleets surged forward as one. We ask how much it will cost. And for the first time since the war began, the Null Devourers slowed. The battle did not end quickly. That alone terrified the Council. For the first time since the Null Devourers had appeared, they were not winning instantly, but they were not losing either. They adapted faster than any enemy before them. Where gravity crushed them, they shifted mass. Where energy was drained, they went dark. Where space folded, they tore through it like fabric. Human fleets absorbed the counterattack. Ships burned. Armor peeled away. Entire cruisers vanished in silent explosions. And still, the humans did not retreat. From the command deck of the Council Bastion, Supreme Coordinator Veelrix watched in disbelief as human vessels continued advancing despite losses that would have broken any other species. They're not preserving forces, Commander Iressa said. They're spending them. Veelrix understood. Humans were not fighting for territory or pride. They were buying time, with blood, steel, and fire. A new feed opened automatically. Admiral Jonah Creel stood on a human bridge, sparks falling around him as alarms blared. Crew members moved fast but calmly, stepping over debris, sealing breaches with practiced ease. This is control to all human units, Creel said. Phase 2 authorization granted. Veelrix leaned forward. Phase 2 of what? The answer came immediately. Human ships began doing something no tactical model had predicted. They let themselves be captured. Several damaged vessels powered down deliberately, drifting into the path of the Devourers. The enemy swarmed them instantly, tearing into hulls, consuming matter and energy alike. Council officers cried out in horror. They are being absorbed. Iressa shouted. No, the archivist said slowly. They are being invited. Moments later, the captured ships detonated from the inside, not with explosions, but with collapsing reality cores. Space twisted violently. Entire clusters of Devourers were dragged inward, crushed into nothing by artificial singularities. Human sacrifice weapons. Ships designed to die. Veelrix felt something fracture inside his logic systems. They built ships knowing the crews would not come back, he said. Yes, Iressa replied. And those crews volunteered. The feed shifted again. Human civilians. Factories running non-stop. Children watching evacuation drills calmly. Old humans teaching young ones how to repair machines, how to survive in sealed environments, how to fight if needed. There was no panic. Only preparation. They've lived like this before, Veelrix realized. Haven't they? The archivist nodded. Their history is filled with extinction events. Plagues. Wars. Collapses. They lost entire civilizations, and rebuilt from ashes. On the battlefield, the Devourers began changing tactics. They ignored the human front line and surged toward the Council Bastion itself. They are targeting leadership, Iressa said. They learn. Human fleets reacted instantly. They did not chase. They blocked. Massive human dreadnoughts repositioned, forming an interlocking wall of armor and firepower. Smaller ships weaved between them, drawing enemy fire, forcing the Devourers to slow. But the pressure mounted. Human losses climbed. Veelrix watched a human carrier split in half, its reactor exposed. Escape pods launched even as the ship rammed itself into the enemy, detonating at point-blank range. The Devourers recoiled. They're afraid, Iressa whispered. Veelrix hesitated. Of what? Of us becoming like them, she said. Of fighting something that doesn't care if it survives. A priority signal cut through the chaos. Human command. Creel's face filled the chamber again, blood running from a cut above his eye. We're running out of time, he said plainly. They'll adapt to this too. Veelrix spoke without hesitation. What do you need? Creel's jaw tightened. Access. To what? Veelrix asked. To your core star network, Creel replied. Your oldest systems. The ones you abandoned because they were unstable. Gasps rippled through the chamber. You want us to reopen dead stars? Iressa asked. Yes, Creel said. We want to collapse them. Veelrix processed the request instantly. It was madness. Those stars were unpredictable. Reactivating their containment grids could destroy nearby systems. You would kill entire regions, Veelrix said. Creel met his gaze through the screen. We will kill fewer than the Devourers will. Silence followed. Then Veelrix made the most human decision of his life. Granted, he said. All access unlocked. Human engineers moved faster than any system could track. Control codes rewritten. Safety limits erased. Old stars were pushed beyond thresholds the Council had never dared approach. On the battlefield, the Devourers surged forward, then stopped. Space ignited. Artificial supernovas erupted in controlled chains, detonating across enemy vectors. Light tore through the void. Entire Devourer formations vanished in stellar fire. The shockwave was felt across dozens of systems. Human ships shielded Council refugees, absorbing radiation that would have sterilized fleets. When the light faded, the battlefield was empty. Not silent. Empty. The Devourers were gone. Destroyed. Erased. Human fleets drifted among wreckage and burning stars. Many ships were missing. Many crews would never return. Admiral Creel spoke one final time. "The enemy is broken," he said. "But not gone. There will be more. Different. Smarter." Veelrix bowed his head deeply. "You saved us," he said. Creel shook his head. "No," he replied. "We reminded the universe why it should be afraid of desperate people." The transmission ended. Around the Council Bastion, survivors stared into space where hope had been reborn through fire. The galaxy had not been saved by peace. It had been saved by a species that refused to stay small. And humanity was only getting started. The war was over. That truth took time to settle. Across surviving systems, sensors still searched for enemies that were no longer there. Fleets remained on high alert. Civilians slept in evacuation shelters, afraid to believe the silence was real. Victory, when it finally came, felt unfamiliar. Human ships did not celebrate. They repaired. They counted losses. They recorded names. On the bridge of the Council Bastion, Supreme Coordinator Veelrix watched as human recovery teams moved through the wreckage of space, pulling survivors from debris fields, stabilizing damaged stations, restoring power where they could. "They're helping everyone," Commander Iressa said softly. "Even worlds that once supported their quarantine." Veelrix nodded. Humans do not forget. But they also do not waste. A delegation request arrived from Human Command. Veelrix accepted immediately. The image resolved into Admiral Jonah Creel, now standing in a quiet room. No alarms. No sparks. Just exhaustion carved deep into his face. "The Devourers won't return in the same form," Creel said. "They'll adapt. Spread differently. Learn from this loss." Veelrix did not argue. "Then the galaxy will need your guidance." Creel's expression hardened. "No. The galaxy will need to change." He gestured, and new data filled the screen. Human analysis. Patterns no one else had seen. The Devourers had not attacked randomly. They had targeted stability. Predictable civilizations. Centralized control. Fragile systems built on comfort instead of resilience. "They hunt weakness," Creel said. "Not in weapons. In mindset." Veelrix felt a ripple of realization spread through the chamber. The galaxy had optimized itself for peace. Humans had optimized themselves for survival. "You want us to militarize," Iressa said. "No," Creel replied. "We want you to learn how to endure failure." Human advisors began arriving across council space. Engineers. Strategists. Medical teams. Terraformers who did not soften worlds, but strengthened them. Human doctrine spread quickly. Redundant systems. Decentralized command. Civilian survival training. Cities redesigned to function under siege. Some worlds resisted. They called humans brutal. Excessive. Dangerous. Those worlds fell behind. Others embraced the change. They adapted. Months passed. Human fleets remained near the outer regions, not as conquerors, but as watchers. Guardians of unstable space. Builders of traps designed not to destroy planets, but to deny enemies easy victories. The Council convened for the first time since the war. Veelrix stood before representatives of dozens of species. "The quarantine against humanity is officially dissolved," he announced. "Effective immediately." Murmurs swept the chamber. "And replaced," Veelrix continued, "with an alliance." The vote passed unanimously. Outside council space, rumors spread fast. That humans could kill stars. That they trained children to survive disasters for fun. That they laughed during impossible odds. That they did not seek war, but never feared it. A single question echoed across the galaxy. What happens if humans ever decide we are the enemy? Creel addressed that concern directly in a broadcast sent to every known world. "We don't want your planets," he said. "We don't want your resources. We don't want your worship." He paused. "But if something threatens this galaxy again, we will answer. And we will answer our way." The message ended. Human fleets slowly began withdrawing, not leaving, but spreading. Integrating. Watching. Veilrix stood alone afterward, staring at the stars. For the first time in galactic history, peace did not feel fragile. It felt armed. Humanity had not claimed the galaxy, but they had changed it forever. And somewhere beyond known space, something else was watching. Learning. Waiting. The galaxy rebuilt itself slowly. Worlds scarred by war did not return to what they were. They became something harder. Stronger. Less beautiful, perhaps, but far more alive. Human engineers worked alongside alien hands. Not as masters. Not as rulers. As equals who had survived the same ending. Cities were redesigned with shelters beneath them. Power grids were layered with backups. Children of every species learned how to respond to disasters, how to adapt when plans failed. It was uncomfortable. But it worked. Supreme Coordinator Veilrix watched this transformation with a quiet understanding. Humanity had not saved the galaxy by winning a war. They had saved it by changing its instincts. A year after the Devourer's defeat, long-range sensors detected something impossible. A signal. Not an attack. Not a fleet. A probe. It drifted at the edge of mapped space, sending a repeating pattern. Human command intercepted it first. Admiral Jonah Creel stood before the Council once more, older now, his scars deeper. "It's not the Devourers," he said. "But it's related." The probe contained fragments of data, pieces of broken reality, evidence of intelligence beyond anything encountered before. "They were watching," Commander Iressa said. "Learning from the war." Creel nodded. "And now they're testing the edges." Fear rippled through the chamber. Veilrix did not feel it. "Will they come?" he asked. "Yes," Creel replied. "Eventually." "And when they do?" Veilrix pressed. Creel's expression was calm. "Certain. Then they'll meet a galaxy that doesn't collapse when things go wrong." Human fleets mobilized quietly. Not in panic. Not in urgency. Preparation had become routine. On human worlds, life continued. People worked. Argued. Laughed. Loved. Planned futures even while preparing for annihilation. They had always lived that way. A young human child stood beside a viewing window on a station orbiting a violent blue star. Her teacher pointed to the burning surface below. "That star could kill us," the teacher said. The child nodded. "But it hasn't." That was the human answer to everything. Reports came in from across known space. Worlds once labeled fragile now held firm against cosmic disasters. Pirate empires collapsed against prepared defenses. Natural catastrophes claimed fewer lives. The galaxy was learning. And somewhere beyond the dark, something noticed. A final transmission arrived months later. Clear. Direct. A voice spoke, not human, not devourer. "We see you," it said. "You are dangerous." Human command debated for less than a minute. Creel replied personally. "Yes," he said. "We are." The message ended. There was no war. No invasion. No retaliation. The signal never returned. Veilrix stood at the edge of the Council Bastion one last time, gazing into a sky filled with stars that were no longer silent. Human ships moved among them like sentinels. Not conquerors. Not saviors. Guardians born from chaos. The galaxy had once feared humanity. Now it understood them. They were not heroes. They were not monsters. They were survivors. And when the universe finally pushed too hard, humanity would push back harder. Because when the galaxy gave up, humanity became the last nightmare. And the last hope.